Okay, let's talk about something you probably don't think about much. Metal caps and closures. Bottle caps, jar lids, that sort of thing. Did you know the global market for these is set to hit something like USD 22,624.5 million in 2025?
Yeah, it's a staggering number when you first hear it, and it really highlights how fundamental these seemingly simple items are.
Absolutely. They're everywhere, but kind of invisible.
Mm.
So for this deep dive, we've got a really great report from Cognitive Market Research. It's super current, published March 2025.
And it gives us this detailed snapshot, plus forecasts all the way out to 2033.
It feels like we're getting a peek behind the curtain of this, well, surprisingly massive industry.
Exactly. The report breaks it all down, market size, growth rates, region by region analysis. And it looks at different closure types, materials, and crucially, the end-use industries, like food, beverages, pharmaceuticals, where these caps actually end up.
Right. We've got some links too if you want to explore related areas. So our goal today, to unpack this huge market that's, frankly, hiding in plain sight. We'll pull out the key numbers, see where the action is, and maybe give you a couple of, wow, I never thought about that moments. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the big picture. You mentioned that huge number for 2025.
Yes, USD 22,624.5 million is start in 2025. And looking ahead, it's projected to climb pretty steadily. The forecast puts it at USD 30,963.2 million by 2033.
Okay, and that's growing how fast, year on year?
That works out to a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 4.00% between 2025 and 2033. So yeah, consistent growth expected over that period.
4%. Nice and steady. What's really pushing that growth?
Well, the report pinpoints one major factor.
Right.
We're simply consuming more beverages globally. More bottled water, more sodas, more juices, more everything in a bottle or can.
Ah, simple as that. More drinks mean more caps.
Pretty much. It's a direct relationship.
Gotcha. Okay, let's break it down geographically. Where's the biggest slice of this pie right now?
Right now, North America is the leader. They hold over 40% of the global market share. That translates to USD 561.11 million in 2025.
Wow, over 40%. That's substantial.
It is. But interestingly, their projected growth rate, that CAGR, it's a bit more modest. It's forecast at 2.6% annually through 2033.
Okay, so the biggest market currently, but maybe not the fastest growing.
Exactly. It suggests that while it's mature, maybe the really dynamic expansion is happening elsewhere.
Let's dig into North America a bit more. The U.S. must be the main player there.
Oh, definitely. The U.S. market alone is pegged at USD 576.71 million for 2025. Its growth is projected around 2.4%. Key drivers there are strong beverage demand, like we said, but also push for sustainability, strong manufacturing, and investment.
In Canada and Mexico?
Canada's market's smaller, around USD 787.33 million, but growing a bit faster at 3.4%. Similar drivers: beverage industry, sustainability focus, innovation, exports. Mexico is at about USD 597.06 million, projected to grow at 3.1%. So solid growth across the board, just maybe not explosive.
Right. Interesting differences even within the region. Okay, let's head over to Europe. How do things look there?
Europe's another major player, holds over 30% of the market. That's about USD 429.88 million in 2025. And their growth rate, it matches the global average at 4.0% CAGR through 2033.
So growing a bit faster than North America overall.
Yes. And what's noticeable in Europe is a really strong emphasis across many countries on, well, sustainability and packaging innovation.
Which countries are leading the pack in Europe?
Germany is a big one.
Yeah.
Their market is over $1 billion, USD 175.12 million to be precise, and they're growing slightly above the European average at 4.2%. Strong beverage sector, sustainability focus, advanced manufacturing, exports, it's all contributing.
Okay. And the UK?
The UK is also quite strong. Market size around USD 912.22 million, and their growth is even higher, projected at 4.8% CAGR. Again, driven by beverages, sustainability demands, innovation, exports, and a trend towards more premium packaging.
Almost 5% growth. That's pretty healthy. Any others to highlight?
Well, you've got France at around USD 500 million, growing at 3.2%. Italy, a bit smaller, USD 467 million, growing at 3.4%. Russia has a surprisingly large market, over USD 840 million, but slower growth at 3.0%. And Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, they all contribute with varying growth rates, mostly in the 3–4% range. It's quite a diverse picture.
It really is. Okay, now for the region everyone expects rapid growth from, Asia-Pacific or APAC.
And they don't disappoint. APAC holds about 23% of the global market share currently. That's the value of USD 800,371 point year of 7 million in 2025.
Okay, a significant chunk already.
But the really striking figure is the growth rate. The
Yeah.
projected KGR for APAC from 2025 to 2033 is 4.8%.
Wow, 4.8%. That's the highest regional growth rate we've seen so far.
It is. It really signals where a lot of the future dynamism in this market lies. It reflects shifting global manufacturing and rising consumer demand in that part of the world.
Makes sense. Who are the powerhouses within APAC? China, I assume.
China is definitely dominant in terms of size. Over USD 3.5 billion specifically, USD 3 to 515.85 million, growing at a strong 4.3% CAGR, driven by its massive manufacturing base, huge domestic demand, cost advantages, exports, innovation, the usual suspects for China.
Okay. Any other standouts?
India. India is really remarkable here. While its current market size is smaller, around USD 837 million,
Yes.
its projected CAGR is a whopping 6.7%.
6.7%. That's huge.
It really is. Similar drivers to China manufacturing, demand, but also maybe faster adoption of sustainability initiatives, regulatory changes, big investments, and a growing taste for premium packaging.
That's fascinating. What about other established economies like Japan or South Korea?
There's significant markets too. Japan is over USD 1.1 billion, but slower growth at 3.3%. South Korea is around USD 1 billion, growing at 3.9%.
Yeah.
And don't forget Southeast Asia as a block that's another high growth area expected to grow at 5.6%.
That 6.7% in India really jumps out. What do you think is behind that particularly rapid pace? Is it just catching up or something more?
It's likely a mix of things. You got a rapidly expanding middle class, driving consumption. There's also a huge government push on Make in India and infrastructure, which helps manufacturing. Plus, I think there's a growing awareness around food safety and quality, leading to better packaging, which includes reliable metal closures. It's sort of perfect storm for growth in this sector.
Really interesting dynamics at play. Okay, let's move on. What about South America?
South America accounts for just over 5% of the global market. Market size is around USD 859.73 million in 2025. And their growth is pretty strong too, projected at 4.7% CGR.
Nearly as high as APAC overall. Who's leading there?
Brazil is the largest market by far, about USD 368 million. And it's growing fast, 5.3% CGR.
Huh.
Strong beverage industry, rising exports, more focus on sustainability, and better manufacturing are key there.
And Argentina?
Argentina actually shows even faster projected growth, 5.6 predicted growth, 5.6% CGR. They're from a smaller base, around USD 144 million. Similar story. Beverages, exports, local manufacturing push, packaging innovation.
Okay, interesting growth across South America. Now let's cover the Middle East and Africa, often smaller markets, but sometimes surprising growth.
You're right. The Middle East holds only about 2% of the global market share, currently around USD 905 million in 2025. But here's the kicker. It boasts the highest projected regional CGR globally.
Higher than APAC and South America.
Yep, projected at 5.2% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, where's that growth concentrated?
Key markets are Saudi Arabia, growing at 5.5%, and the UAE, even faster at 5.7%. Qatar and Turkey are also showing strong potential, with Turkey forecast at 5.8%. It seems to be driven by high consumer demand, a growing beverage sector, a taste for premium packaging, and increasing focus on sustainability standards.
Fascinating. And Africa.
Africa is the smallest region, around 1% market share, roughly USD 498 million in 2025. Projected growth matches the global average at 4.0% CAGR. South Africa is the largest market there, about USD 175 million, growing at a solid 4.9%. Nigeria is smaller, around USD 40 million, but growing at 4.2%, driven by beverage and pharmaceutical demand, plus more local manufacturing.
It's really incredible how these little metal things map onto such big global economic trends. Okay, let's pivot slightly. What about the types of closures? And the materials?
Okay, so looking at closure types, the classic crown cap, the type you pry off a beer bottle, is currently dominant.
Right, the standard.
Exactly. Huge use in beverages, especially beer and sodas. They seal really well. They're cost-effective for mass production, highly recyclable, and work great with automated bottling lines.
But are they the future?
Right.
Or is something else gaining ground?
Well, the fastest growing segment is actually screw caps.
Ah, the twist-offs.
Precisely. Think wine bottles, spirits, some food jars, even pharmaceuticals. They're convenient, tamper-evident, resealable.
That resealability factor is huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. Consumers love it. Plus, technology improvements in aluminum and thin plate screw caps are making them more efficient and eco-friendly, which aligns with current trends.
So crowns rule for now, but screw caps are definitely on the rise. What about the metal itself? Steel versus aluminum.
Steel is currently the dominant material. It's strong, durable, offers great tamper resistance, and it's very recyclable. And advancements in coatings mean its corrosion resistance is better than ever.
Okay, so steel is the workhorse.
Right. But aluminum is the fastest growing materials segment.
Why aluminum?
Several reasons. It's lightweight, which helps with shipping costs and environmental footprint. It's naturally corrosion resistant, and it has a really strong sustainability story, easily recyclable. So you're seeing it used more and more in drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. Plus, it can offer a more premium look, which appeals to sectors like cosmetics and pharma.
Interesting. That sustainability angle for aluminum seems key. Okay, let's think about where these caps end up, the end-use industries.
The food industry is the biggest user overall right now. Just think about all the packaged foods, preserved goods. They all need reliable seals for freshness and shelf life.
Makes sense. Any particular part of the food sector growing quickly?
Yes, the dairy industry is highlighted as a rapidly growing segment for metal closures.
Dairy. Really? Like milk cartons.
We'll think more about things like condensed milk cans, some yogurt drink bottles, maybe specialized dairy products. Global demand for packaged dairy is rising, especially in emerging markets. Consumers want convenience, longer shelf life, and safety assurance, and metal closures can provide that for certain dairy formats.
Huh, I wouldn't have immediately thought of dairy. That's interesting. What about the obvious one, beverages?
Within beverages, the alcoholic segment, beer, wine, spirits, is currently the largest user. High volume and the need for secure, often tamper-proof seals is paramount.
Right, but is it the fastest growing within beverages?
No, that title goes to the non-alcoholic beverage sector.
Ah, okay. Why is that?
Several trends converging. Rising health consciousness means more bottled water, juices, functional drinks. There's huge innovation in that space.
Yeah.
And again, the push for convenient, eco-friendly packaging is really strong there.
Gotcha. So lots of moving parts across the different segments. Okay, stepping back again, what are the main things pushing this whole market forward, and what's holding it back?
Well, the key drivers we've touched on. Fundamentally, increased consumption of bottled and canned drinks worldwide. That's number one. Second, the growing demand for eco-friendly, recyclable metal options. Sustainability is huge. And third, just the basic, ongoing need for seals that are airtight and durable to protect the product.
Okay, straightforward enough. And the brakes. What are the restraints?
Two main ones highlighted. First, the cost of raw materials, steel, and aluminum prices can fluctuate, sometimes significantly, impacting manufacturing costs.
Yeah, commodity prices can be volatile.
Exactly. Second, competition from alternatives. Think plastic closures or even newer biodegradable options. They present a challenge, especially where cost or specific functionalities are key concerns.
Right, the constant battle between materials and packaging. So given those drivers and restraints, what are the big overarching trends shaping the market's future?
Two really stand out in the report. First, that relentless demand for recyclable and sustainable metal closures. It's not just a nice-to-have anymore. It's becoming essential. Second, there's a growing desire for metal packaging, including caps, that just looked good. Aesthetics, premium feel, it enhances the brand on the shelf.
So function, sustainability, and form. It's got to do it all. What about the companies actually making these things? Is it a concentrated market?
The report describes it as highly competitive. Lots of players focusing on differentiating their products, improving features, and managing costs. Their success is obviously tied very closely to how well the food and beverage sectors are doing, especially alcoholic drinks, dairy, ready-to-eat meals, and crucially, how well they adapt to that sustainability trend.
Any examples of what companies are doing?
Yeah, the report mentions Guala Closures Group getting their greenhouse gas reduction targets validated, which is a big sustainability signal. And Peliconi is setting up an innovation center in San Francisco, likely to tap into food and beverage trends early. So you see that focus on both great credentials and innovation.
Okay, great overview. Let's try to boil this down. What are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, first, it's a seriously big market over USD $22.6 billion now, heading towards nearly $31 billion by 2033. Steady growth. Second, regionally, North America is the biggest chunk now, but the fastest growth is clearly in Asia-Pacific and, surprisingly, the Middle East.
Right, those high kgers there were notable.
Definitely. Third, segment-wise. Crowns and steel still dominate in volume, but screw caps, aluminum, the non-alcoholic drink sector, and dairy are where the most rapid expansion is happening.
And it's kind of amazing, isn't it? We're talking about bottle caps and jar lids, things you twist off and toss aside, but they represent this massive multi-billion-dollar global industry. It really hammers home how vital these small, often unnoticed things are for global trade and just getting products to us safely.
It absolutely does. And it makes you notice some more, doesn't it? You start thinking about the journey that little cap took, the materials, the technology involved. How many have you used just today? Probably without a second glance.
Totally. Your juice this morning, the jam, maybe a beer later, they're just woven into daily life. Okay, so here's something to chew on after we wrap up. A final thought for you, the listener. With this huge focus on sustainability and all the innovation happening in alternative packaging, bioplastics, compostables, maybe even rethinking packaging altogether, how does this metal caps and closures market keep evolving beyond 2033? How does it stay relevant and keep growing?
Yeah, what are the next big breakthroughs needed in materials? How will changing consumer views on packaging impact things? What about new environmental rules?
Lots to think about there. How does this fundamental little component continue to adapt? Definitely something to ponder.